Thank you for joining us for Turn the Page with Paige, brought to you by the Goddard Schools. I'm your host, Paige Hulsey. In this series, we love to learn the story behind the bedtime stories that children are enjoying by introducing you to the local authors and illustrators that make those works of fiction come to life. And today's story may be one of my all-time favorites, especially the story behind the story. The Garden is the story of two neighboring girls who share a love of flowers. They create beautiful gardens in hopes of winning a local contest. But in the process, they learn how both happiness and beauty actually multiply when you share it. Now, that story was written by Janet Murphy Heyer. Today, though, we are joined by Mike Heyer, her widower, and the person who turned this story into a beautiful book. Mike, thank you for being here today. As I said, I just love the story behind the story. It touched my heart from the minute that I heard it. Can you please share with our viewers how you uncovered this story that your wife wrote?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. My late wife, she had always wanted to be an author, and she had drafted many stories, short stories, and poems, and murder mysteries. And my wife, Joan, and I were looking through some of those electronic files a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and we ran across this short story. And she immediately said, this would make a great book. And I absolutely agreed with her. So after I finished my memoir, I thought, okay, I will undertake this project. And so that is what launched the project, bringing it to fruition with the final book.
I hadn't actually read the story when your wife was with us. It was after she passed that you read it for the first time.
Yes, that is correct. She passed away, it's been 12 years now since she passed away. And I'm not sure exactly when she drafted this story, but I was speaking to the owner of Moonbeams, and she told me she was talking to Janet when she was getting ready to leave Walden Books because they were closing, and that Janet told her that she was planning to write a story. Now, I don't know if it was this story, but ultimately that was a sweet story I heard about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's very special. Okay, so as I said, the story that Janet wrote is beautiful. Tell me more about the two friends in this book, The Garden.
Well, when she drafted the story originally, it was just girl 1 and girl 2. But after reading that and the fact that I have 2 daughters, 2 grown daughters, I thought, it would make an excellent story if we just changed it to their names. And then Vicki Irwin, who is a published author, she wordsmithed it a little bit for me, and she also inserted my 2 grandchildren, Jackson and Mason, into the story with just a short couple of sentences. So that's how it evolved into what it is now.
So, and it's very personal to you, but I think the storyline itself is very relatable and has such a great lesson for anyone to read. Tell me more about that storyline and what the 2 girls experience in the story itself.
Yeah, Janet was so sweet. She had written this story with the idea that it would provide a lesson for young people, and that was that it's better to give, and from giving, you build relationships and friendship and love and all that goes with it. So they're competing in this contest, and obviously only one can win, and Megan ends up winning, and so, but Jenny learns this wonderful lesson, or actually both the girls do, of how important it is to give to others.
The illustrations are stunning. You have to see them. The best part is they have their own special story too. Tell me more about the illustrator. Her name is Ellen Harms, and how Ellen knew your wife, Janet.
Yes. They were part of a sewing club. There were 6 ladies, I believe, and they had been in this sewing club since, oh my goodness, the early 80s, I believe. And Ellen actually has a gift. Her degree is in science, and I believe she's a science teacher, but she had a gift of art, and she was very eager to help bring the story to life with her illustrations, which she absolutely did. I think the first time I saw them, it brought tears to my eyes.
Oh, I can imagine so. She absolutely has a gift. It's kind of a watercolor technique, it seems.
Yes.
And it's just beautiful.
Yes.
You were lucky to have a built-in audience, your grandfather. What do your grandchildren or other children who get to read The Garden say about the story?
I think it's been very well received. I have to say I'm a little surprised, but very well received by our own grandchildren, as well as many of our friends have grandchildren, and they have been sending us photos of their grandchildren reading the story.
Yeah, it warms your heart when you see
Absolutely.
their smiles. Yeah, and that special time that they're experiencing with their loved one, whether it's you or their own parents reading the story.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you are an author of your, in your own as well. You wrote a memoir. Tell us more about the book that you wrote about your own time in the military.
Yeah, so during COVID, obviously everything was shut down, and it's like, what are we going to do? So I started typing, and I thought this would be something I would produce for my children and grandchildren only. But as I got further along, my wife and other folks encouraged me to go ahead and publish it. So my oldest daughter is a published author. She has self-published about a dozen books, and so she assisted with bringing that to the point where I could publish it on Amazon. So.
And what all do you talk about in your memoir?
Basically, it's really what it's like to serve, what it was like for me. I spent almost all of my tour in Germany, serving in a nuclear missile unit, the only one in the U.S. Army at that time. And it was during the Cold War, and the Vietnam War was also still going on in Southeast Asia. So I enlisted for 3 years after recognizing I was not yet ready for college.
It's good to recognize that, though, in yourself sometimes. Let's go back to children's book. I want to ask for your recommendation for a children's book that you would recommend to someone else by a different author.
The one book that just popped into my head as soon as I knew you were going to ask that question it was by Sandra Boynton, and it's called But Not the Hippopotamus. And I just remember reading that to my 2 daughters when they were young, and they always really got a kick out of hearing that story.
It's just a fun story, and sometimes it's good just to read for fun, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Before we go, I just want to go back to this book and back to the garden. Mike, what do you think that Janet would think about your dedication to making her dream to be an author true in this story?
Well, first, it was such an honor to bring the story to life on her behalf. She really always wanted to publish, and she certainly worked at it. It just did not happen during her life. And I think she would be so excited and so proud with the fact that we got it this far, and all the proceeds from the sale of the book go to benefit St. Jude's Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. So this is not about making any money. It's really about having her be officially published and to donate to her favorite charity. So.
It's a beautiful book, and it's a beautiful story, and I'm so grateful that you shared it with me and our audience today. Mike, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Paige.
And thank you for joining us as well. We hope to see you again soon.